Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back, everybody, as we continue to roll Canada's daytime sports talk show, coming to you from the sweatpants capital here. We are under snow. Nick Lewis back in town, and the CFL receiving king. Can you just, not like our viewers need any introduction to you, Nick, but I'm just going to say it here. As a player with the Calgary Stampeders 04 to 2014, then with the Alouettes for 4 seasons. I didn't know it was that long. 2015 to, it says 2015, 16, 17, 18.
No, I didn't play in 18.
Somebody needs to update your Wikipedia.
I retired in 18, but I didn't play.
Okay. 2-time Grey Cup champion. But can you talk about the trio of leaders of the CFL receiving stats?
Yeah, so I lead in catches, receptions with 1,051. G-Roy leads in yards with over 16,000. It's like 16,332 or something like that. And Milt Stegall leads in touchdowns with like 130-something touchdowns.
What a triumvirate.
So we all kind of have one.
A really good one. For the most catches, that's probably the one you'd want.
It definitely says what I did.
Yeah.
You know, when I talk about Mike Evans, I was a lot of the same. I could create separation, but it was about making the tough catches. And so, yeah.
Yeah, but your thing was hurdling, too. Did you ever take one in the junk?
No. One time in Winnipeg, though, I did jump over someone, and a linebacker hit me after I cleared him, and I landed on my hip, and that hurt.
I bet. Well, you were doing it against our guys all the time. Very tough to tackle, this guy. Just some comments from our viewers, which we love here. It is interactive television at its best.
The best way to do it.
Yeah, oh yeah. And Canada's only, by the way, live daytime sports talk show. We are the View of sports talk.
Yeah.
That would make you the whoopee, me the joy. Jack Fulton writes in from Alberta. The new CFL needs to address the fact players have no real contract protection / guarantee. Mandy says, Nick Lewis, 15-year CFL veteran. That's so long. What are his thoughts on U.S. politics? Okay, folks, I didn't ask it. Just remind yourself, when the fireworks start to go off here, she asked, not me. But I want to know it too. Your thoughts on the results of the 4-day U.S. election. Quadruple overtime, ending with Joe Biden being declared the 46th president of the United States of America.
I like it. I got to vote when I was back home, and, you know, I voted for Joe Biden. And I didn't vote for Hillary in 2016. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. And I voted for some Republicans on the ticket. So I'm kind of in the middle and just kind of lean whatever way. But I just think Trump is divisive. And one of the biggest things for me is this, and I don't know if people understand, the first thing that Trump did when he was running for office was he discredited the media. Right? If you look at the master plan of what he actually did, he made you believe all media sources were fake unless it was something that you believed in. He made you discredit all of that. And then he came in and he divided people, either red, blue, black, white. Everything was a divide, because once you divide people, you can have chaos. People can fight over different stuff, but you can do what you want to do. And then just his persona and his personality and the belief of who you want Trump to be. And, man, I think he's masterful in the manipulation of how he has manipulated a lot of people. And that's just me personally. I think that it was a mass manipulation. And I don't think it was going terribly bad until the pandemic. Right? I think the pandemic kind of exposed him, because you can't just ignore something and hope it goes away. You actually have to do something. But before then, there was some trouble and everything. But, yeah, I just don't think he was right for what America needs right now.
Well, that's why I'm interested, and I think our viewers are very interested in your thoughts on this, too, as a black man from Texas, i.e. the South, even though Texas is kind of its own thing, the great state. But the way I don't think Joe Biden's an angel either.
No.
I'm not sure you think that he is either. But
No.
you would know better what America needs than I would, because I've never spent a day as an American. So let me just stop there and ask you, what does America need right now?
Well, I think America needs a lot of healing. We haven't fully recognized the past for what it was. We talk about slavery, but we don't talk in depth on what really happened in slavery. We don't talk in depth on what happened after slavery, like post-slavery, how they locked up black men for not having jobs and how that became the new slave system and how the prisons have turned around and now generate income off of people locked up, incarceration, right? So they're driving this system where people are making all this money off of the prison system, and all it is modern day slavery, right? So when you look at everything, I think America needs to heal. It doesn't need to divide anymore, right? You shouldn't worry about politics. Should not, just because we view something different doesn't mean we can't be friends. I grew up in Texas. I lived in Calgary for 11 years. 90% of the people that I consider my close friends are conservative Republicans.
Right.
So if politics is going to make us not be friends, I'm losing 90% of my friends. Right? It's okay to have healthy debates on different things. It's okay to have conversations, but just keep it in context of the respect to have those conversations and the understanding of the other side. It's not easy for everyone. I wouldn't say it's easy for, if I was white, I wouldn't say it's easy for me to accept the things of the past. Right? Because, and I don't think you should have to make up for the past, but you should be willing to sit down and listen and have that conversation to be like, you know what, that wasn't right, and we need to worry about healing to correct it.
Thank you. I'm going to stop you there for a second and put in a couple of our comments here. Jeff, the Stampeders fan, says it's amazing how the media is suddenly all over this vaccine story that they claimed was ridiculous last week. I'll believe it when I see it. That's my take on that. Lauren Smith in Kamloops says, great political analysis by Nick Lewis. Divisiveness isn't the way to solve problems. And I hope that it's not just Americans. I hope we can all come together. Because when the Black Lives Matter stuff was going down, I was saying to my friends, what do you need? Because I've never been in your shoes.
Yeah.
And the guys all said, just back us, just support us. That's it. It's not that hard. Like, don't fight us. But this is what I thought when Biden got named. Because there was so much racial stuff thrown at Trump, and I don't personally believe he's a racist. I thought, I
think he's an opportunist.
Sure. A lot of people are. But my thinking is this. The next time a black man gets shot by the cops and there's riots, who are you going to blame it on now? Because so much went after Trump. And so many people went after Trump this summer in June when that whole thing was going down.
Yeah.
So my whole thing about Trump was he didn't create this bubbling hate in America. It was always there.
Yeah.
Probably brought it out, as did social media, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But now with Trump gone, the hate's still there, the racism's still there. Luke Mullender and I talked about that.
Yep.
He's like, now we're back to good old-fashioned racism. That's what he said. So how's that going to change, Nick? Or have you made progress since June in BLM?
I just think it's not, when Colin kneeled, they changed the narrative to the flag and being a patriot. When Black Lives Matter came out, it's so much bigger than that. It's not for what you think it's for. Well, you have to make it for what you believe in, that everyone's equal. And so through that journey of making it to where you can look at people without prejudice. We all have prejudices in our lives, but that's what we have to work on individually, to work through those prejudices, so that now that we can look at each person as an individual and not group them together. Now, all we want, if a cop kills somebody, to get punishment. How hard is that? Don't be protected by the badge. It makes it harder for the good cops. It makes it harder for the good people, right? Because I tell people all the time, don't wait until I have to die to realize I have no criminal record, I've never been arrested, never been in trouble, that you can't criminalize me to start to care. Because then it's too late, right?
Yeah. And I also know that you've been racially profiled. You told that story, I think, the last time that you were on the air. And that's not something that I can identify with because I haven't. So that's why I want to hear your side of that story.
Yep.
But when we go to the offensiveness, and this is key for everybody to hear, and I know you know this because you've had a point in your life where you've looked in the mirror, as have I. That's when my life changed, and I think that's when your life changed. Yep. But I'll give you a great example. Last week I wrote on Facebook, if the government's going to mandate anything, it should be that people exercise 30 to 60 minutes a day and count calories. Well, people ran off in a million different directions with that. All I'm saying is, let's mandate healthy people, because they're not locking up the suites like they're locking up people right now. I think obesity, heart disease is killing way more people, and we know that. The stats will show you that, than COVID. And some lady wrote into me. She was overweight, and she blasted me saying, so you're fat shaming now? You're disgusting. That's because you got triggered because it was what it made you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
So you need to look in the mirror. So when we talk about the slavery and all these things, we could probably go for lunch and talk about this more.
Yep.
But to talk about colonialism, and that's why the Eskimos can't change their name to the Empire, because it has, relation to that. If you're holding on to something that happened 300 years ago, that's on you.
Yep.
You will never heal until you let that go. So I can sit and we can fight all day over race, but until you release the pain,
100%.
And that's what I don't think people understand, Nick.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you could say to that, other than that's why I don't have a lot of hope for society.
It's bad. Social media has been a detriment to society because does anybody know where memes come from?
Memes?
Yeah. Because anybody can create a meme, put on there whatever they want to put on there, and then it's going to get shared because of the picture, because of what it says. I support it, so it must be true. And then it's just posted around to all these people, and people think they're posting facts. It's like Wikipedia.
Well, that's fake news.
Wikipedia is not a real thing, right?
And you have had your incidents with that.
Yeah, anybody can post on anybody's Wikipedia, edit it, right? So that's not a real source. So you can't just take this stuff as real sources. And now that people don't have belief in the media, it's like, where do you get the truth? Now, I do believe media has gone one-sided. If you go Fox, you get one side, CNN one side. I believe you got to get a mix of both to try to get an understanding of what you want. But at the end of the day, I just believe that right now, there's not a place for truth, and the only place is for supporting your side. And on the internet, I can go find anything I want to support anything I want. If I want to believe aliens walk through Regina at 2 o'clock in the morning,
you could find it.
I can go find an article about aliens walking through Regina at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you and I could carry this over to your podcast and go all night, the Lulu Logic podcast. But I'll say this: I'm sorry to say, I don't want all the media to turn on me now. But after 31 years of me working in this perilous trade, I don't trust what I hear, because I've had people trying to influence me to lie to you and be threatened with my own job if I didn't lie on the air. So I don't trust what I'm hearing except for my own trusted sources. And that's what I want this show to be.
Yep.
People to know, at the very least, they may not agree with Rod with what I'm saying, but at least it's what I believe to be true. Fair? And by the way, John in Edmonton says the Alberta government has said opioid deaths are higher than COVID deaths. Not that hard to look up, John. There are 3,000 overdose opioid deaths in Saskatchewan so far in 2020, and there's been, 29 from COVID? 29?
Yeah, it's bad right now.
29 is a good month for mental health addictions and substance problems in this province. 29 versus 3,000. Chris in Toronto says, hang on. John Kirby says, Rod, you are losing people because you're talking politics. Good. John, I'd like to lose you. Goodbye. Goodbye. There's the door. It's the Rod Pedersen Show, not the John Kirby Show. See you tomorrow. I'm done with you today. Chris Bird says, when black people and First Nations people are getting killed in the streets, I would think that it gets pretty hard to heal. You want to comment on that before we break?
I think it's a great comment, but all people aren't bad people. there's still good people left in this world, right? I can't approach everyone as if they were a slave owner. I can't approach everyone as if they're a racist. I can't approach everyone that if they have bad intentions, right? And I think that's what we have to get to is the individualization of everyone, right? You have to approach people and say hi to a stranger. Sometimes I'm riding my bike and I see people in their yards or stuff, and I just want to stop and say hi because, one, I have the ability to break the barrier, right? When the world, there's a lot of people that live in neighborhoods that are black that never been around white people, and there's whites never been around black,
Yep.
Everybody's in this bubble, and it is uncomfortable to get outside that bubble if you're the first time, right? So we got to break the barrier, and we have to open up the conversation and just treat people with respect until proven otherwise, right?
Yeah. I'm going to keep Nick for another segment. We're going to talk about the Spring League. We're going to talk about AO sports. And the thing that bothers me is football has allowed you to open up so many doors, and people saying sports aren't important. We're getting it all the time. Sports isn't a priority right now. Sports isn't important. Oh, my God. Where would we be without it? We'll talk about that and more, plus a sports update and viewer takeover. Hang on. It's the RP Show. You're watching on Game Plus TV, Facebook Live, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.